Thank you, President Harrison, faculty members, staff, family, friends, and fellow graduates for the opportunity to speak from experience today. I want to dwell on a few questions today for you to answer for yourselves, and then also to challenge yourselves. So let me tell you a story and a little bit of my journey. Joshua Bell stood in a metro station during rush hour in Washington, D.C. as part of a social experiment. He played 6 of the most intricate pieces of music by Bach on a violin worth $3.5 million for almost an hour. In that time, it was estimated that around 1,100 people passed him by, but only 6 people stopped to listen. 6 people. When he finished playing and silence overcame the station, no one noticed. There was no applause, no standing ovation, no call for an encore. The only recognition he had was the $32 he collected in his bucket. A master violinist who had sold out a $1 million venue just 2 days before. Greatness. And very few noticed. The questions posed by the experiment were, in a commonplace environment at an inappropriate hour, do we perceive beauty? Do we stop to appreciate it? Do we recognize the talent in an unexpected context? My questions for us are, do we perceive greatness? Do we pursue it or stop to appreciate it? Do we recognize it in ourselves or do we deny it from ourselves? Greatness. I once believed that was not for me. Why not me? I'll tell you why. Because I didn't recognize greatness. I tripped over it, walked by it, ignored it, and gave up on it. I didn't believe that I was smart enough, talented enough, or worth enough, so I stopped caring. Life, in my eyes, was a cycle of bad decisions meshed together with bad circumstances. Over and over again, I quit and gave up on myself. I dropped out of a prestigious high school my senior year because I thought I had thrown away the opportunity of college with my bad grades. So what was the point? I gave up. I attended culinary school shortly after, and while I was the president of the culinary club on the dean's list and working part-time, I still felt inadequate and unfulfilled. I ignored the tap of greatness, and then I quit. Shortly after, training under the top directors in the company as a direct saleswoman, I was tiptoeing the line of greatness. It was in that role that I learned that failure is an opportunity to learn rather than an invitation to quit. I started to love myself, something I had never really accomplished. And a tiny spark started a slow burning fire within me. Greatness. Year after year, I made bad decisions and survived bad circumstances, and I worked all kinds of jobs, from caring for the elderly to customer service at an insurance company. I was surviving, but I wasn't living. In 2006, I became a cafe manager, and I fell in love with coffee. I developed my skills as a manager of a business, but I also began to dust off my writing skills and embrace the idea that there was something more, that life wasn't meant to be survived, but lived. I applied to attend Lake Michigan College in the spring of 2010, but sometimes life offers other paths, and you make wrong choices. Once again, I chose the other path. And on that path, I experienced a traumatic pregnancy, losing 1 triplet at 10 weeks and carrying my twin daughters into life on December 7th, 2010, when I almost lost my own life. Also the wife of an addict whom I allowed to steal my self-worth, my dignity, and my joy. When he left us in January 2012, he also stole my security and my hope. I returned to the workplace in May of 2012 as a restaurant manager, but the place burned to the ground in an electrical fire a few weeks later, and I missed the unemployment cutoff by 2 weeks. Now broke and discouraged and feeling the heavy weight of single motherhood, I literally had nothing left to offer my daughters. I was what I considered to be a failure, a high school dropout with a few college credits and a few years of restaurant management under her belt. I didn't see potential. I saw hopelessness and ruin. I saw another pile of mistakes that I had chosen. Joy. Choose joy, something whispered. Without realizing, I had arrived at another impasse to greatness. I could either give up and surrender to the inevitability of poverty and a life of mediocrity, or I could circle back and choose the path originally laid out for me. Do we perceive greatness? Do we pursue it or stop to appreciate it? Do we recognize it in ourselves or do we deny it from ourselves? There are many accounts of the Joshua Bell story, but I imagine there were hurried business people pursuing greatness, but ignoring it too. I picture children stopping to listen, much to the chagrin of their parents, recognizing and appreciating greatness. Their parents pulling them along, wanting to get home or watch their favorite TV shows or relax after a hard day, not realizing that slowing down cultivates more joy than rushing ahead, that perceiving and recognizing and appreciating greatness is a choice to choose joy. I was neither of those. I was the woman who heard the music but didn't listen. I was the girl who was so focused on her feet to avoid eye contact that she never saw or experienced anything. I was the woman on her cell phone who found the music too loud and disruptive. Greatness was not an opportunity, but a sacrifice and an inconvenience. It wasn't for me, it was for someone else. Why not me? A year and a half ago, at 30 years old, I finally worked up the courage to take the entrance tests, and I enrolled for classes at Lake Michigan College, but my goal was still simply to pass. In my wildest nightmares, I never imagined that I would be standing in front of you today, or that I would love public speaking. I never dreamed that I would be wearing gold around my neck or that I'd be invited into an honor society like Phi Theta Kappa. Lake Michigan College not only scooped me up out of that swamp water of negativity, but prompted me and allowed me to stand out as a swan. I'm standing before you today a much different woman than the one who walked through those doors 2 years ago. Today, at 32 years old, I am the communications director for Overflow Church, where I found hope and peace and strength. I have earned my first college degree with highest honors, and my children now have a role model that I am proud to be. I have self-esteem and dignity and joy again because of my faith in God and in my unbelievable experiences at Lake Michigan College. Our education has been more than academic, hasn't it? Dr. William Sprunk will always hold a special place in my heart and in my career because it was in his class that I learned to embrace my gifts and to stop hiding them because I was afraid of failing or being a success. I am no longer telling myself that I am terrible at math because Chris Bendixson proved to me that I'm not. And I can stand here today and tell you that I like and see the value in it. Dr. Gary Roberts taught me how to think for myself, how to analyze, and how to speak up for what I believe in. The Munchies Cafe staff and our cleaning crew taught me to slow down and to have conversations that didn't always fit into my schedule. We also learned gratitude, because most likely none of us made it this far without the help of our families, friends, and teachers. If you haven't already, be sure to thank them today. There is someone I know who deserves my public gratitude. You taught me how to walk, how to talk, how to read, and eventually you pushed me out of the nest and taught me how to fly. You taught me never to say I can't, and to do rather than to try. 15 years later, I finally listened. Thank you, Mom, for believing in me when I felt like giving up and couldn't see the end. Thank you. Thank you for always pushing me to be great, because today I am standing here dressed in it because of you. Today, like Joshua Bell, I choose greatness. But my greatest gratitude I give to God. He had a greater life for me. Yes. He had a greater life for me, so I decided to follow him and find it. And today, the greater life is mine, and it is yours. Even if you find your purpose in something other than divine faith, today you have something more. Today, you have the opportunity of greatness. Recognizing greatness in yourself is not about ego. It's about living to your fullest potential, even when no one notices. It's about rejecting mediocrity and finding passion. It's about suffering for something better. I want to be a Joshua Bell. I want to be great, and I hope that you all will be great too. Why not you? And why not me? You might have the next big idea or great American novel. Perhaps you have Joshua Bell-like athleticism, or maybe you have the simple but brilliant gift of putting a patient at ease. So what's next? We have our piece of paper, we have our accolades, our accomplishments are neatly ordered on a resume set to be distributed. I'll tell you what's next for me. When I walk out of this building today, I will be a college graduate, continuing her education in marketing at the Hayworth College of Business at Western Michigan University, with high goals, pursuing greatness, not for the recognition or the accolades, but simply because I was not created for mediocrity, and neither were you. I no longer believe that greatness is not for me. Today, my question is, why not me, and why not you? When you leave this room today, will you perceive greatness? Will you pursue it or stop to appreciate it? Will you recognize it in yourself, or will you deny it from yourself? Let me challenge you today. In the busyness of the pursuit of greatness, joyful life can be lost. So be the seventh person who stops to listen to that violinist play his street music. Talk to that friend you've been meaning to call. Read that book you've dusted off too many times. Enjoy a sunset. Let ice cream run down your knuckles, and never forget to be grateful for it all. In the pursuit of greatness, always remember to choose joy, because choosing joy is to choose greatness. Thank you.
Thank you, Kallay, for your inspirational words.